I used to think I understood my boyfriend, Jake. We'd been together for almost 3 years, and while he wasn't the loudest or most outwardly romantic guy, I thought we had a solid, comfortable relationship. We didn't fight much. We traveled together. He was calm in a way that made me feel grounded, and maybe a little bored, if I'm honest. That boredom is probably why I let things get careless. It started on a long weekend trip we took with a group of friends to Miami. It was one of those last summer blowouts before we all get too busy kind of trips. We booked an area near the beach, packed our swimsuits, and promised each other we'd make it a stress-free, fun getaway. The first night, we all went out to a popular beachside bar. The music was loud, the drinks were strong, and the atmosphere was the kind where strangers feel like instant friends. We grabbed a big table, ordered rounds of cocktails, and started loosening up. At one point, a group of guys at the bar started chatting with me while Jake was ordering drinks. It was harmless. They asked where I was from, complimented my dress, made a few jokes. I laughed, tossed my hair, maybe let my smile linger a little longer than necessary. When Jake came back, I noticed the way his eyes flicked between me and them. He didn't make a scene, didn't say anything in front of them, but when we got back to the table, he leaned in and said quietly, "Could you not encourage that? It's not a good look." I brushed it off. "Oh, come on. It's just for fun. I'd never cheat on you." He didn't argue, just gave me this long, unreadable look and went back to sipping his drink. The next day it was more of the same. Beach in the morning, bars in the afternoon. I wasn't doing anything physical with other guys, but I liked the attention. I liked feeling attractive, desirable. Jake was affectionate in his own way, but he wasn't exactly the type to gush over me in public. So when strangers did it, I soaked it up. That night, we went to a club our friends had been hyping up all week. I was already tipsy before we even got there, thanks to the tequila shots at the Airbnb. The music was pounding, the lights flashing, and I just wanted to dance. Jake isn't a big dancer, so when one of the guys from the night before found me on the dance floor and started moving with me, I didn't push him away. I told myself it was just dancing, nothing serious. But I knew my body was closer to his than it should have been. I knew Jake was somewhere in the crowd watching. And he was. When I glanced over my shoulder, I saw him leaning against the bar, drink in hand, his face completely neutral. No anger, no jealousy. Just calm. I didn't think much of it at the time. If anything, I assumed that meant he wasn't upset. I was wrong. The rest of the trip, Jake wasn't the same. He wasn't rude or short with me. He didn't call me out in front of our friends. But there was a distance. Subtle at first, then more obvious. He stopped holding my hand when we walked. He stopped leaning in to whisper funny observations. He let me sit at the opposite end of the table during meals without trying to move closer. When we got home, the distance didn't go away. If anything, it grew. He didn't text me good morning like he used to. When I texted him, the replies were polite but brief. Plans that we had for upcoming weekends suddenly got postponed. I asked if something was wrong, and he'd say no, just busy. At first, I thought I could fix it. I started sending him flirty photos, planning little date nights, trying to get him to open up. He'd agreed to see me, but the conversations felt surface level. No more random hugs from behind. No more forehead kisses. 2 weeks turned into a month. A month turned into 3. By then, I was in a constant state of anxiety. I asked him directly one night if he was mad about Miami. He just looked at me and said, "I don't think we want the same things." That was all. No fight, no list of grievances. Just a quiet statement, and then he left. After that, he vanished. Not in the literal sense. I still saw his posts on social media. But for my life, he didn't answer my calls. My texts stayed undelivered. I reached out to our mutual friends, and they all said they hadn't talked to him much either. Even my best friend didn't know what was going on. I told her about Miami, downplaying the dancing, but she just said, "If it bothered him, maybe. It wasn't as harmless as you thought." That stung. Weeks went by. I called him once from a friend's phone just to see if he answered. He didn't. It was like he decided I didn't exist anymore. 6 months after the breakup, I saw him. I was at a coffee shop downtown when he walked in with a girl I'd never seen before. She was gorgeous. The kind of pretty that makes you notice even if she's just ordering a latte. They looked good together. Comfortable. She laughed at something he said, and he smiled in a way I hadn't seen in years. I froze. He didn't even notice me. They sat at a table in the corner, talking like they were in their own little world. I left without ordering anything. That night, I cried for the first time since he left. 4 months later, I heard through a mutual acquaintance that he was married. Married. Less than a year after we broke up. I saw the wedding photos on Instagram. A small, beautiful ceremony on a cliff overlooking the ocean. He looked happier than I'd ever seen him. She looked radiant. The captions were full of love and gratitude. I stared at those photos for hours, wondering if he'd ever once thought about me. In the months since, I've tried dating. I've tried meeting guys through friends, through apps, through work. But nothing sticks. Some don't get past the first date. Others just disappear. And here's the thing I can't admit to anyone. I know why. Because every time I meet someone, I'm comparing them to Jake. Not just who he was with me, but who he became without me. Confident, at peace, with someone who clearly loves him in a way I never managed to. I keep thinking back to that night in Miami. How I told him it was just for fun, how I danced with another man, and looked over to see him watching, calm and unreadable. I thought that meant he didn't care. But he did care. Just not in the way I expected. He cared enough to see me for who I really was, and then quietly walk away, leaving me to realize too late what I'd lost. Now he's married. Happy. Untouchable. And I'm here, replaying that night over and over, wishing I'd chosen differently. Knowing I can't undo the moment he decided he was done.